Hey guys, the Tech Prepper, hope you're all doing well. So, did not want to make this video today. I wanted to review the Yaesu FTX-1 in full and take it into the field and do all of those fun things. But in the short time I've been working with it, my frustration level has been tested to its limits. Had an issue with a high SWR reading that finally just made me make the decision that this radio is not for me. I can't put any more time into it. I need to focus my time on things that matter and not chasing these half-baked, overpriced radios that have marketing that includes terms like field, and then there is no field feature about it whatsoever, at least the way that I'm looking at it. So I wanted this to be my replacement for the Yaesu FT8-1A ND, and that's not the case. I'm going to probably buy another 2 FT8-1.8s and do some heavy mods, but it's sad because I have always been a Yaesu guy. I always joke that I bleed Yaesu. Most of my radios are Yaesu, but this is a departure and the furthest thing from a field radio that is out there. So I'm not going to edit this video because I honestly don't have the time and I don't want to invest any more energy. I did do a integration with my MCOM Tools software suite, and I do have plug-and-play support that's going into R5 Build 1, but it won't include cat control because Yaesu has not released the cat manual yet, so that's a little bit of a problem. So I want to quickly go through what I have here on my desk, but before we do that, I posted this video the other day where the head unit on this thing is just baffling to me. I believe that this radio has an identity crisis. I think it doesn't know what it wants to be, but tries to please everybody and at the same time pleases nobody. So this is my 991A, and I did measure it. The head unit for the FTX-1F is just 1/2 inch shorter than this guy. I mean, look at the screen. This is not a field screen by any means. And I get it with the Optima, it's supposed to be a base station, but clearly not for me. While I do have it at this angle, this is one feature I like. I do like the cant when the battery is connected to the radio, but that is probably the only feature I like. It does have a great receiver, great audio, and I do like the fact that you can do dual VHF, UHF, and HF. So I did test that. I had both of my feed lines here and was able to do HF digital while monitoring the local repeater. But that's about it for the things that I like. I like the cant if you're going to be in the desk, and I like the ability to have both of the VFOs going for doing HF on one side and VHF, UHF, simplex or repeater on the other. But that's where it ends. So in terms of the field aspect, I've never been a fan of that form factor. I've never been a fan of the touchscreen. The touchscreen has a lot of issues. The timeout on the menus while you're looking at it, trying to manipulate it, is too short. I've tried maxing it out, and even then it just disappears before it's ready. You can use the multifunction knob with most of it, but then there are other settings where you have to use it. So I have to take off my gloved hands, or sometimes my fingers are sweaty and this thing starts freaking out when you have moisture on it. So not a field rig. So let's talk about weight. Did weigh just the head unit, comes in at 1,242 grams, and then the head with battery is 1,638 grams, which makes it more than a pound more than the 818. Charging. I can't field charge this thing. My 12-volt system that I have, my solar panels from PowerFilm, my Buddy Pole Power Mini, and my lithium iron phosphate battery will not be able to do 15-volt DC power delivery at 2 amps. In fact, at the price point of this radio, it's obnoxious that they don't include the charger, and the charger that they recommend is not available for sale yet. They have the part number, but I don't know who has one. For the first week, I had to figure out how to do it. The only thing that I had on hand was my 18-volt Ryobi 4-amp battery with the Power Source 1 Plus here. And this one will actually do 30 watts. It does USB-C power delivery, and it does support 15 volts at 2 amps. So I had gone through and probably gone through about 20 amp hours so far total of charging it. A little bit more than 1 4 amp hour battery is required to fully charge. I want to say it's closer to 5 amp hours with 18 volt to fully charge that guy. So no field charging option. I'm certainly not going to bring this with me in the field, and I'm not going to try to figure out boost converters and all of that stuff. For a field radio, this should be able to charge directly off of our existing 12 volt equipment. Last weekend, I went ahead and went to our local Target and picked up this Samsung charger for I think $50 to $60. It is their 65 watt power adapter trio, and it's a nice charger, and I was able to charge it with the max 65 watt on the top, and it was able to do the USB-C power delivery 15 volts at 2 amps. Some of the other things I wanted to do to be able to take this in the field was find a bag for it. I tried a couple of DLSR camera bags that didn't quite work out. The best thing that I found was my old Camelback 1 liter pouch here that I would put on the side of my Everly Stock Fact Track. The problem with this guy is that while it does fit and offers good padding, I'm concerned that constant insertion and removal will cause maybe the knobs to fall off, but this is what I would have used if I was going to take it into the field. But since now I'm going to sell this radio as soon as I can, and probably at a 15% discount to a member, I'm going to do that. Don't have the cage or the GPS unit. Those aren't scheduled to arrive till August, so disappointed about that. So not going to be able to test that. Had this one from Fox Tactical that arrived yesterday. It's about 9 inches wide by 4 deep and 5 high. It's a little bit too tall, but this would have worked as well. Again, not perfect. And I was about to design a bag for this. I would have designed a bag, but since this radio is not for me and not a field radio, not going to happen. Ideally, what I would have wanted to use would have been a clam style electronics case. Unfortunately, I couldn't find one that was the right dimensions. This was the closest size, and it was just too small. The inner diameter was too small, but this would have offered some padding. We'll get into why I did this video, because they've got a major issue that I just can't get over and can't forgive whatsoever. Let's talk about that one. I have a couple rounds of 308 here. I was debating in a moment of weakness to take this out for my field video and put it through its paces, and by paces I meant dumping a full mag dump of about 30 rounds of 308, but I'm really not too keen on spending $30 in ammo to take out a $1,500 radio. Would make for a good video. Oh wow. It is well built. I do have a note there from a few weeks back that it has good quality in terms of the design and the components. Do have full plug and play support for this thing. But let me show you the real reason why I can't do this thing. It's not even all of the bugs that exist in this firmware. So, oops. All right, guys, sorry about this. We're going to have to kind of do this at an angle. This is the Diamond RH707. I thought this might have been a counterfeit, even though I've been running it for a while. It is not a counterfeit. When I put it on the meter here, let's take a quick look. We're looking at a 1.0 to 3 match, or 1.1 match, basically. And I thought, hey, it might be fun to be able to just put this on the back like that, and I can sit down today, relax, and do a little bit of, yeah, so we're at, 1.3 to 1, still very good match. But when we do that on the radio itself, all right, we're gonna go ahead and turn this guy on. Let me lock the, okay, we're locked. And apparently lock doesn't mean lock. You can still touch all the buttons on this thing and it will allow you to bump everything. So in the field, not great. So it would have been cool if we could run it like that. And then what I'm gonna do is take my plug and play support. So we'll plug in the USB-C here. We'll connect this guy up. Okay, so we've got all that connected. my software project here, MCOM Tools, auto detects everything. It'll do everything but cat controls, so we need to make sure that we've got 145.710 FM selected. But I can key the receiver or the transceiver, and I'm also able to do a few other things. All right, so we'll do ET mode. And what we're going to do is try to do a packet session real quick. And all of this was working while I was testing this on the bench with a VHF, UHF antenna and an HF antenna. That use case is actually really nice, being able, for example, to have VHF, UHF on one side and then doing HF digital on the other. Really kind of cool. All right, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to launch the BBS client. We're going to do 1200 baud, and then we're going to go ahead and connect. Okay, and this has been working all week when using the feed line over there. All right, let's go ahead now, and we're going to connect. Check out the SWR. That was infinity. We are full scale, infinite SWR. In fact, it's so bad that it does even lock up the computer. Some of the things I don't like, I think we're still locked. I can still manipulate all of the buttons here while we're locked, so not great for a field operator. So guys, I had a lot more thoughts on this radio and why it's not for me, but there's no point in beating a dead horse. Like I said, if I'm unable to sell it, I am not going to be physically responsible if nobody wants to buy it at 15 or 20% discount. I am going to shoot this thing. So disappointed, but I'm moving on. I'm going to be looking for a much older rig from the good old Yaesu days when they were with Vertex standards, and that's going to be the VX-1210, or I'm going to be going with the TX500 MP for Manpack, or I'm just going to start recasing my 818s and doing some really cool modifications. One more thing, I did get into a little bit of a debate with somebody else saying, hey, you know, when they meant field, they didn't mean for you, they meant ARRL field day. I think that's bullshit. I've gone and done ARRL field day many times on 5 watts, and I get stomped on by the 100-watt stations. And I'm pretty sure anybody taking that out to field day is going to be running it with the base unit at a full 100 watts. So I don't buy that. Like I said, none of these features, from the screen size to the current draw, which I haven't been able to do the test that I wanted to, screen field, the delicate nature doesn't screen field. You add the cage, I think it's going to add probably 2 to 3, maybe even 4 more inches to the size of this thing. Now, one thing I could have got behind on this, actually, I'm kind of bouncing back and forth, is I wouldn't have minded this so much, and I could probably wait for firmware to be improved. If I could put this in my Jeep and mount it on my E-bar system, man, this thing's heavy, that would have been great, but I would have wanted to be able to relocate the base unit under my Jeep so that VHF, UHF in the vehicle, I could do 40 or 50 watts and then 100 watts in HF. That would have been great, and then I could see it as a great ability to take the head and then transition for some light duty field work. But they didn't do that. It may be possible with some aftermarket stuff, or maybe even Yaesu has realized that they screwed the pooch on this one. Anyways, guys, life is short. I want to enjoy life. I want to enjoy my family, and I want to focus on content that matters. And this radio, to me, based on my needs of a replacement for the 818, does not matter. It's a waste of time. So last video for me. So apologies if I sound like I'm heated, but this radio has a freaking identity crisis. It has no idea of what it wants to be. And haven't looked at any other videos. I just wanted to be open and honest with you. I'm looking forward to continuing with my RDF series and releasing videos when time permits and when I have a lot to say. Right now, I am focused on techniques that will allow me to do close-in hunts. So I've got some new gear that we'll talk about, a lot of new techniques. I've done a lot of research, and that's where I want to spend my time. I don't want to spend my time with the hot newness, and this hot newness is a hot mess. All right, guys, if you do love this radio, I'm not bashing you in any way. This radio was not for me. Maybe I got into it with the wrong expectations, thinking it was going to be an 818 replacement or a. I don't care what it is. Even with the sunspot numbers dropping down, 6 watts is going to be an issue anyhow. So not the radio for me. Anyways, be strong, be safe, and be prepared.